The top 7 richest drug lords. Number 7. Nicky Barnes. $50 million. Born in Harlem, New York in 1933, Nicky Barnes was raised by a struggling family in one of New York's poorest areas. As a child, Nicky left home to escape abuse and sought refuge in the underworld. After getting caught up with minor drug charges, he was sent to jail and was introduced to a man named Crazy Joe Gallo, a well-known drug game veteran in New York. The two hatched a plan to overtake the then-flourishing heroin trade. Crazy Joe provided the training and guidance Nicky needed to rise through the ranks. As the business grew, so did his fortune. He was said to have spent over $7 million on fashion goods alone. However, after expanding operations to Pennsylvania and Canada, the crew caught the attention of the DEA. While under surveillance, it was said Nicky would make pointless stops and sometimes drive in circles with the aim of frustrating the agents following him. However, after several years, the net finally closed in when the DEA arrested Nicky in 1978. His continued taunting of police frustrated authorities so much that President Jimmy Carter personally requested that he be sentenced to the maximum penalties possible. A jury sentenced him to life in prison. However, after cooperating with the police as an informant, he was released in 1998. Number 6. Ross Ulbricht. $80 million. As one of the most unique drug lords on our list, Ross Ulbricht earns a special spot. By harnessing the power of the internet, this tech genius was able to create a drug market that facilitated sales exceeding $1.2 billion. A young man from Austin, Texas, Ross was an academic prodigy with a master's degree in science and engineering. After completing his studies, he found work life to be dissatisfying and opted to try and create his own business. After many failures, including an online bookstore, he decided to enter the world of crime. Ross soon found a fascination with the dark web and the anonymous currency known as bitcoins. In early 2009, he began to mastermind what would soon be known as the Silk Road Market. The market was launched later that year and came to be extremely popular. It offered drugs, guns, and any other illegal products. With thousands of daily transactions, Ross stood to become an extremely rich man, collecting over $80 million in profits. This dream was soon crushed when in 2013, special agents from the FBI apprehended and charged him with money laundering, computer hacking, and narcotics trafficking. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Number 5. Big Meech. $100 million. A drug lord based in Detroit, Michigan, Big Meech, whose real name is Demetrius Flannery, was the founder of the Black Mafia family, a criminal drug trafficking organization that ran the streets of Detroit from 1980 through 2005. With close ties to the Mexican cartels, the Black Mafia family established drug transport hubs in Atlanta and Los Angeles. By utilizing various transport locations, the group was able to obtain low-priced cocaine direct from Mexico and distribute it throughout the nation to maximize profits. With so much illegal money, the group sought to launder funds by establishing an entertainment group. By promoting and signing hip-hop artists, the organization hoped to throw off authorities pursuing them. After years of tense investigation, Big Meech was indicted by the DEA and charged with drug trafficking, conspiracy, and a host of other crimes. In total, 150 members were arrested and charged, and over 632 kilos of cocaine and $5.3 million were seized in the operation. It was said that the group made over $270 million over the course of several years. Number 4. Manuel Noriega. $300 million. This former dictator of Panama was both a politician and a military officer, running the country from 1983 until 1989. As one of the most powerful men in the 80s, Manuel worked closely with the CIA by providing them with highly valuable intelligence on a regular basis. This assistance led the CIA to turn a blind eye to the drug trafficking operations under his control. By offering the United States exclusive rights to set up listening posts and trading routes in his country, he earned the good favor of politicians including former President and CIA Director George H.W. Bush. As a major cocaine trafficker, Manuel worked closely with the Medellin cartel of Colombia to ship thousands of kilos of cocaine throughout his country. In the process, his net worth skyrocketed, with him raking in tens of millions each month. However, all good things soon come to an end. In 1989, public discontent for the leader grew. Opposition soon began to push for his resignation, which led Manuel to begin a campaign of terror against anyone who opposed him. Responding to this, the United States began an invasion with the aim to capture Noriega. By January 3, 1990, The US troops had surrounded him as he sought refuge in a sanctuary. Manuel surrendered and was charged with a slew of crimes from murder to drug trafficking. Number 3. Zhenli Yigan, $310 million. A Chinese businessman who founded multiple successful pharmaceutical companies throughout Mexico is best known for his opulent and luxurious lifestyle. The founder of Unimed PharmChem, Zhenli assisted Mexican cartels in the importation of pseudoephedrine to produce mass amounts of methamphetamine. By operating a legitimate business, he was able to import mass quantities of the precursor chemicals used to produce meth. This meant he was a highly valued asset to cartels and was able to bring in the chemicals they needed without arousing any suspicion. After several years of importing the chemicals, Zhenli's company was investigated for potential misuse of the substances. However, no proof could be found linking him to the crimes. Nonetheless, as a precaution, his license to purchase the chemicals was revoked. This did not stop Zhenli, as he continued to buy chemicals under the table, leading to further investigation by authorities. After building up evidence, the police raided his Mexico City mansion on March 15, 2007. Upon entering the lavishly decorated compound, authorities were not prepared for what they would find. Inside, police found $207 million in cash, 10 gold coins, 7 luxury vehicles, exotic animals, and an armory of fully automatic weapons. During the raid, Zhenli was arrested and charged with drug trafficking, conspiracy, and a slew of other crimes. Number 2. El Chapo, $1 billion. One of the most well-known drug lords of all time, El Chapo, whose real name is Joaquin Guzman, is the leader of the feared Sinaloa cartel, often seen as a godfather of the underworld. Chapo began with humble origins, born into a family stricken with poverty. As a young man, he sold fruit on the street after deciding to leave school in pursuit of fortune. With very few resources in his hometown and no jobs available, a young Chapo soon turned to growing opium. After harvesting the crops, he would travel with his father into town to sell the goods. However, his father often took all the proceeds and spent them on alcohol or prostitutes, leaving Chapo with no money. Sick and tired of the mismanagement, he decided to pursue his own drug business at the age of 15 by cultivating his own marijuana field. By the age of 20, Chapo had become a man and was well versed in the drug trade. This led to his acceptance into a large-scale drug organization known as Guadalajara Cartel. A young and ambitious man, he often begged his superiors to allow him to transport more and more drugs each run. Seeing the potential profits, he had no intention of slowing down. Starting as an air traffic controller for cross-country drug shipments, he soon worked his way up the ladder of success. Chapo displayed a violent and threatening demeanor that made it clear he was not someone to cross, opting to kill his rivals himself instead of hiring enforcers. After years of working his way through the underworld, Chapo emerged as leader of the Sinaloa cartel. Today, he oversees a worldwide drug network raking in billions of dollars yearly. Although authorities have tried countless times to arrest and imprison Chapo, his power and influence is so strong, he's escaped prison twice. His most daring escape in 2014 proves he'll be one of the most elusive and hard-to-capture criminals in history. Number 1. Pablo Escobar, $30 billion. A man so powerful that his name strikes fear into those who lived during his reign of terror. Pablo Escobar was the most powerful drug lord that ever lived. At the peak of his career, he controlled over 80% of all cocaine brought into the United States. From the beginning, Pablo displayed criminal traits as a petty thief and scam artist. In his younger days, he would steal gravestones from the cemetery so he could sand away the markers to resell them again. As he aged, his crimes increased in intensity, with him raking in his first $100,000 by kidnapping a notable Colombian businessman for ransom. With the goal to become a millionaire by 22, his hunger for success only strengthened. Upon learning more about the drug trade, Pablo began to devise his network for the transport and sales of cocaine globally. By 26, his plan was in full swing. Pablo learned to fly an airplane and began to make trips across well-known smuggling routes. His new business proved to be successful. However, he began to attract the attention of police. He was stopped and caught with several kilos of cocaine in 1976. After unsuccessfully trying to pay off the judge and officers, he found his best option was violence. Pablo had the officers murdered and the case against him was soon dropped. This was the beginning to a bloody path he would often take. As demand for cocaine increased, so did his wealth, with his net worth swelling to over $30 billion by the mid-1980s. Making over $420 million a week, he became a walking bank. With so much money, he soon ran out of places to store the cash. This resulted in him losing over $1 billion each year from rats that would often enter his warehouses to nibble away at the money stacks. Political leaders began to target Pablo in hopes of indicting him for drug trafficking. This infuriated him, and he soon demanded his men kill anyone who spoke out against him. Over several months, Pablo waged a campaign of violence utilizing car bombs, hit squads, and torture. With Colombia spinning out of control, the United States stepped in to bring a stop to the madness by forming a specialized team known as Search Block. Within weeks, the team had triangulated Pablo's phone signals to locate him. In December 1993, Pablo was spotted by members of the elite team and he was engaged with gunfire. Pablo was shot dead on the roof of the building, signaling the end for the world's richest drug lord.